Hello, and welcome to Simply 1%, a podcast that breaks down the difficulty of life to small shifts to create big changes. Today, we're going to talk about something that might be a little controversial. So, here are some questions. Have you ever thought about not being kind? Have you ever thought about maybe it's just not the right time to be kind and I might need to choose something else? Well, today, we're going to talk about instead of being kind, it's more important to be appropriate. And Gwendolyn's going to talk more about this today because this is something that she teaches her kids, and it's something that's really important to start with a message with our children. So whether you have children or not, please still stay because this is for everyone. I'm going to let Gwendolyn start here.
Yeah, so every school year, the beginning of the school year, there's several things that I review with my children and throughout the year, right? So I tell people when I'm coaching, whether it be parents or someone who's just dealing with children or whatever, I'm like, we teach our children and hopefully they pick it up tomorrow. Hopefully the next time they deal with something, they think about what we said and they apply it. But what we're really doing is teaching them. I'm teaching my children today, and I say things 1,000 times today, tomorrow, and the next, so that 10 years from now, that's the narration they hear. That's the thing they go to. They say, oh, yeah, I was taught this. I can go back to that. So one of those things.
And that's really easy for you, right, Gwendolyn, to say something 1,000 times and hope that it's easy for us, right? Like that's.
Oh, yeah, it's not easy. But I'm like, this is my work. This is my mission, my children. So if I have to say it 1,000 times, I will.
Just to relate to the others out there. Gwendolyn is not saying like I love doing this.
No. I have to do it.
Yeah.
Because it's my life's work, right?
Yeah.
I'm passing to my children the wisdom and knowledge that God gave me. And so I can't stop because I'm exhausted of saying it. Right? There's certain things that my children and I talk about. It's like a revolving door, but they'll remember it, and so they do.
And they do. I have seen it.
Yeah. They'll even finish my sentences and I'm like, it's working. And so and they're just like, Mom, like, Mom, we know. So anyway, but even, as adults, we need things repeated to us. We need to remember our value. We need to remember all of these things that somehow along the way, lies were given to us. So truths need to be spoken over and over and over again because they're truth. And the only way to defeat a lie is with truth. And so that's why I repeat what I repeat over and over again, because they're truths. Yeah. And so one of the things that, especially first day of school, there are several things that we go through. But I want my children to learn this at a young age that I think a lot of us didn't learn. And I even tell their teachers this. And I remember several years back sitting down with a teacher because my children do a homeschool learning center. And I sat down with one of my kids' teachers and I said, just so you get a little bit about me and like with my kids, I do not teach my children to be kind. And her eyes kind of got wide. And I was like, no, I teach them to be appropriate. And she was like, oh, and I said, yeah. I said, you will never hear me say to my children, remember to be kind. No, I will say, remember to be appropriate. I never want to teach my children that when someone is abusive, hurtful, any of those things to them, that they're supposed to just be kind and continue to tolerate it. Because one of the things I teach them is from the moment you say hello, you are teaching someone how to treat you. And so it goes along with that. So I teach my children, you are to be appropriate. And that goes for other children. That goes for adults. It goes towards your teachers. And what I pray for, right, what I hope for, and every parent would hope for, is that 100% of the time, the appropriate response is kindness.
Is to be kind.
I hope that is what they're exposed to where, that's the appropriate response is kindness. But that's what I hope and I pray, but that's not the real world.
No, because that's the assumption that person has your best interest in mind.
Right.
And they know who you are and, and then you know them in a relationship where you have established trust and, like being kind in your marriage. I'll say that a lot to couples, right?
Mhm.
Like, can we just be kind this week? Like,
Mm.
and we talk about what that is. That's when you've established trust, there's no abuse. There's no
Mhm.
reason to not be kind. Let's just say
Right.
it in that way, right?
Yeah,
That's an established, trusting relationship where
exactly.
they both have agreed to be kind and they know what that
Exactly.
means to the other person.
Right.
Yeah.
Like with my husband, it is safe for me to be kind, right?
Mhm.
At all times. Even if
Yeah.
we're having a disagreement, it is completely safe for me to be kind because he's an amazing leader and he knows that even if he's wrong in a situation or he's not responding properly in a situation, he'll always come back to what needs to be done to rectify. And I trust my husband because his leadership is not a dictatorship. His leadership is where he puts me and my children in front of him.
Mhm.
So I can be kind always to my husband because he's not going to
Mhm.
abuse it. But Meredith, I'll walk down the street and pass a coffee shop and on their easel it says, be kind. I'll see people with shirts, be kind. And I'm like, that is what we're teaching our children is to be kind. I don't teach my children that.
Mhm.
If, my daughter is meeting, one of her friend's father and he says to her, oh, my daughter didn't tell me you were a pretty little girl. That's inappropriate. And my
Mhm.
daughter is not to say thank you.
Mhm.
She is to walk away.
Mhm.
She does not say thank you. She does not giggle. And no, you are to walk away. That's the appropriate response. I don't care
Mhm.
that he's an adult. That's inappropriate. So I teach my children that if your friend's having a bad day and they need kindness, you can tell the difference. I'm talking about the kid who is constantly, or it's just their way of being rude or unkind to you. You don't need to be kind to them. You can say, I choose not to speak to this person or play with this person, and that's appropriate. My hope is in teaching my children this and teaching our children this to be appropriate. Every time I see those shirts, people wearing those shirts, I want to go up to it with like this Sharpie marker and just like cross it out and be like, no, teach your child to be appropriate. Teach
Yeah.
them kindness in the process and what that looks like. Because
Mhm.
we hope and pray that we've put them in an environment where they can be kind the majority of the time. But there are times when they're going to either need to walk away, be very forceful with their words, whatever the case may be. Let's teach that. So as an adult, they can grow up to recognize how they need to respond to something,
Mhm.
right? They're on a date and something happens that they're like, oh, okay, well, let me not embarrass myself. Let me not embarrass this person. So let me just be kind. No, you can
Mhm.
be appropriate. You can get up and leave. That's no
I
problem.
It really seems like you are teaching your children about discernment, though,
Yes.
right? And there's also something that we can talk about later, but it comes up when you talk about this about you can't be a judgmental person. Don't be judgmental.
Mm.
There's different ways to look at that, and we are
Mhm.
supposed to have judgment. We're
Absolutely,
supposed to know
100%.
when to use our judgment in a way that we do need to create a boundary, right? Or we do need to say,
Yep,
That's not right." So
exactly.
we'll definitely do a podcast about that, but I do think this goes hand in hand. And the other thing that's coming up, and we can weave this in if you want, but I think that sometimes in our society we're taught like to be kind with blind trust. And how I was saying with
Mm.
couples and what you said also with this father that she doesn't know. I mean, I'm supposed to trust him because he's my friend's dad and I have no reason not to. He's really
Mm-mm.
nice to me, but I think the kindness sometimes comes with blind trust and we choose to just do that. And there are reasons for it, what we've been taught, but does this kind of go together what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Judgment, blind trust, kind of okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Why would I tell my child to trust the world? I even see these videos of people saying, "Oh, let's see who will respond, who will show this stranger kindness," and people just walk by. And they're judging us women who don't help, and I'm like, "I will not teach my daughter to help someone and put herself in a situation that's not safe." It may
Yeah.
look very unkind for her to walk by you, but she's actually being appropriate.
Well, I think about situations that my clients talk about their families, and it's really difficult to create boundaries, especially with parents, let's say.
Mm, mhm.
And I think of family holidays,
Yeah.
always comes up. it's Thanksgiving and this is what we do. And it would really hurt their feelings if we don't go. And the story is that every time we go, we are some way treated with disrespect. We don't even know why we're there. They're joking around. They think that it's funny. They bring up old stories that embarrass us. And why are we sitting through that when we're talking about being appropriate? Is it appropriate sometimes to say no to that invitation to Thanksgiving, a Thanksgiving tradition where we know that we're walking into a situation where there won't be a lot of kindness? And is this something that we're talking about here?
Yeah. And that goes back to, you have taught these people how to treat you for so long. And now
Mm,
now you're trying to reteach them. And that's the hardest part.
mhm,
Right. And so you still have to be appropriate and saying, okay, here's the grace part. I've told them for so long by not being appropriate that it's okay that they
mhm.
treated me that way, because
Yeah.
I wasn't appropriate in my response, or because I
Mhm,
didn't know that I could be appropriate. Right. That's
mhm,
why we've got to teach our children at a very young age to be appropriate, because you're going to let people know very quickly what you will and will not tolerate.
mhm.
And so reteaching people, them relearning us, is very difficult. When I
Yeah.
worked at an airline, I worked at a small station where when we hired people, we had to hire within the company first. They got priority. We did everything at this. It was like that show Wings back in the day, where
Such a great place. Oh my goodness.
I
One day I wish we
know,
could just share some stories of the
I
characters.
know,
It really needed to be a
a
reality
reality
show.
show.
It would
Working
have
in
been a
any
big hit
airline,
today.
it
It
is,
would have
yeah.
been a huge hit today. Yep.
Mhm. And
Mhm, mhm,
so, and we would hire from other stations first because they had priority. But that was difficult. If you hired in from another station within the same company, but another station where they did things differently, it was always, well, in my station, we did this. Well, in my station, we did this. Well, we're not in, listen, you're, you're not in Kansas anymore, Dorothy. You're in our airport, and I'm going to need you to calm down and listen to what you need to do here. It's relearning. And that's harder than if just someone came off the streets and was learning it. Page
mhm.
1, we start here, because they learn your way the first time. They're not stuck in their old patterns.
Yeah.
And so it's the same thing. It's a lot easier to walk into people's lives, teach them how to treat you from the moment you say hello by being
Mhm.
appropriate.
Right.
And that's a huge thing. So yeah, those Thanksgiving dinners, you also have to have grace in saying, I allowed this for a really long time.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
now I've got to
Ownership.
approach this. Yeah, ownership. I've allowed this, or just out of ignorance, I didn't know that I had that kind of authority in my life to say, yeah, I don't want to be treated that way. But
Mhm.
there does have to be that grace there. And so your appropriateness has to match it, right? So you can't go in there guns a blazing. But I mean,
But don't you
everybody's
think
going to
like
change right now.
yeah, well, when we talk about the 1% here
Yes.
and
And that's
breaking this
where,
down,
yep.
just the recognizing that
Hmm.
I don't have to do the thing that I always done, right? It
Exactly.
doesn't mean that once I learn this, I'm gonna put this into practice right away. The
Hmm.
1% is first, oh my goodness, I have a option? I have a choice in this,
Yes.
right? And then think about all the things we work with our clients of telling ourselves the truth. Why can we create a boundary? And what does that boundary look like? And
Hmm.
how do we do that being appropriate?
Yeah.
And can we still have respect for the situation? Like you said, we don't have to go there in guns a-blazing. We don't have to tell somebody off. It feels really
Right.
good though sometimes. I mean, sometimes you just you need to get it out, you know? I mean, we're not talking about like perfect humans here. Sometimes you just got to let it go, and
Yeah.
then you deal with the consequences, maybe. I mean, I've been there many times and hasn't always been well received, but they get the message.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, growth. Hashtag growth, right? So
Mhm.
we're all in process. And that's the whole thing with this podcast that we really want to get across to people is we are talking about these things that we have learned over time. And hopefully this is something that Wendelin is saying that maybe this is your first page today. Oh my gosh, I
Mhm.
never really thought that I could be appropriate and I don't have to be kind. Wait, that's a thing? That's your 1% today.
Yeah.
That's what that is.
Yeah. And I mean, I remember my first experience with this because as little girls, we're taught when, you be a lady, you be kind, don't embarrass yourself, blah, 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 blah. Right? We went to a pretty safe university where, I mean, things happen everywhere. There's evil everywhere. But if you're going to go to safe university, is where we went. And I remember one time walking back to my dorm at night from the computer lab. And I was like, I'm just going to be really brave and
Mm,
do it. But I'm afraid of the dark. I don't
that
care.
was
I'll
every
say it.
night for me. Nice. Yeah.
So I remember this guy was walking behind me. He was walking really close to me. And then when I would speed up, he would speed up. And I was like, oh my goodness, this guy's going to attack me. I was like, forget being a lady, Wendell, and just do something about it. And I turned around and I started screaming at the top of I started screaming at the top of my lungs. He looked at me with just this look of like horror. It was like, I'm so sorry. You could tell he was completely innocent in this. I had completely fabricated all of this in my head, which is fine. But you know
Mhm.
what? I wasn't even embarrassed because at that moment I was like, he may have been innocent in this, but he shouldn't have been walking so close to me. There's a girl walking at night. Let's be considerate of this. Maybe take a moment and stand back. And
Mm,
at that moment, I wish I had always been this way, where I could say, I don't feel good about this situation and
yeah.
didn't care whether I was embarrassed or not. Should I go
Mhm.
screaming at everybody who's walking behind me? No. But what I am saying is that was
Yeah.
the moment where I said, usually I would just turn around and smile oddly and be like, hi, I'm just gonna pretend I'm like rough going through my bag so he would go ahead of me.
Mhm.
This time I was like, this guy's freaking me out. And I
Mhm.
turned around and I screamed at him. And he was
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, I'm sorry. I'm not saying that was the right thing for me to do. What I'm saying was it did create some freedom in me to go, I'm not going to ruffle through my bag anymore. I can actually just step aside and let this person walk through while making eye contact with them because I'm not comfortable with them walking behind me. And I do that now. If a guy's walking behind me, I don't like that. I stop and let them pass me and then I continue. I don't need an excuse to let you
Mhm.
pass me. That's appropriate. Should I have turned around and screamed when there was really no threat? Maybe not. But it was an aha moment. I just reached this point where and I think my feeling of I'm tired of just having to make excuses to be appropriate. I'm tired of pretending, that I'm comfortable with a situation that I'm not comfortable in. And as much as I could have just, maybe even responded a little bit different, it was just that aha moment of, "No, I can be appropriate and it's okay."
Maybe the appropriate thing, though, in that situation is once you realize you are in a safe situation, maybe you would feel
Mhm.
better about saying, I do not apologize for keeping myself safe. Not maybe not
Mhm.
saying that, but you know, I didn't mean to scare you. It just felt like very uncomfortable for me to
Yeah.
have you. I don't know if you wanted to make it right,
Yeah.
but I wouldn't feel like I
I
need to
didn't.
make it right.
Yeah.
Like
Mhm.
I don't need to. But
And maybe he
you're
learned a lesson.
and that's what I'm saying, like, I just don't see your right or wrong thing here, I don't think there's anything to feel bad about, I don't know, I think of it in that way where, like you said, maybe he started to think about it too, where, maybe I need to, like, hang back because this is just a thing." Sometimes you have to try things on and know what is appropriate or not, or, like, what is kind or
Oh,
not,
yeah.
like, you
Mhm.
know? And again, it's that discernment thing that
Right.
yeah,
Right. And I
yeah.
think being appropriate is something that you're not always gonna get right. So you're gonna have to have a little grace on yourself. You're also gonna
Mhm.
find the people in your life that all have grace with you. So being appropriate, you're not always gonna get it right because we don't live in a
No.
perfect world. But I would rather you know, try and be appropriate and get it wrong sometimes
Mhm.
than always just be kind. Sorry, I can't get
Yeah.
behind that.
And let's how many times now okay, so we talk a lot about trauma, unfortunately. We talk a lot about
Mhm.
healing the inner child and maybe I shouldn't say unfortunately, but I'm going to. It's a sad situation where a lot of our clients have been through things.
Mhm.
And I'm not going to say at all like, oh, if we went back and they were appropriate, this wouldn't have happened. That's not fair.
No, no, it's not.
Not at all, because that's not the case here. Then that's
Mm-mm.
not what I'm saying. I just want to be really clear.
No.
But listening to you and listening to you now, it makes me wonder that because you are teaching this to your children, they are they are less likely to be in a situation
Mhm.
that some of us have been in our lives
Yeah.
because they're not, giving that they're not giving that family member a hug
Mhm.
just to be kind,
Right.
right? And I know that's something that you and I have talked about, and it's also something you teach your children. Even with me, when I'm with you, your
Yeah.
children, they are my godchildren. I love them
Mhm.
to death. They know me. And if I'm going to give them a hug, I will gesture. And if they come to me, oh, that's fine. It's not
Yeah.
because they don't feel safe, but maybe they just don't want to.
Mhm.
But I do think, I don't think that they're unkind, is basically what I'm saying. Like, there is a
Yeah.
lot of trust there, but
Mhm.
still they're making a decision in the way that they want to connect with me.
Yep.
And I have to honor that. I'm not going to give them a hard time about it.
No. And this is not giving your child an excuse to be an a-hole. Let's be honest. Like, okay. Like I'm
Mhm.
not teaching my child to go around with attitude. I don't accept that.
No.
Okay? To be appropriate does not mean that you just get to bully people. Nothing like that. That's not what I'm talking about. If you were to ask my children's coaches, the teachers at the learning center, they're going to tell you this. Gwendolyn, your children are so sweet and so precious, and they're so nice to everyone,
Mhm.
right? One, I mean, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but
But
tootity toot, toot
two,
toot.
two.
I have put them in a safe environment. I drive a lot during the day. They don't go to school in the town that we live. Their learning center is a distance away. Um, I have done those things purposely where I feel like there is an environment where my child can be mostly kind.
Yeah.
Right? So, but they know also, so if mom's teaching me this, dad's teaching me this, that I can be appropriate, also opens the door for them to come to me and say, hey, something wasn't right today. They know that I advocate for them if they responded correctly. And if they didn't respond correctly, they know that I also offer grace and say, hey, then let's make it right. So it does give your child that confidence in you as well, that you're
Mhm.
saying, I actually don't expect you to be kind. I expect you to be appropriate. And
Absolutely.
so that's what I expect of you.
Mhm.
So, yeah, it's really important for our children to understand that. And my children are very kind kids. But let me tell you, if you're taking advantage of them or you're continuously nasty to them,
Or putting
they'll
them
say
in
no
a
thanks.
unsafe, you
Situation.
know.
My
Yeah.
son decided last year going into school, he's like, I'm not really that excited going back to the learning center because there's a couple kids that I'm just not that excited about being around. And I said, well, you don't have to be friends with them. You know that. Don't be rude just to be rude to them at all. But if you have to be firm with them, you can be.
Mhm.
After the first day of school, my son comes back and I said, so how is this person? He goes, Gwendolyn? He didn't say Gwendolyn. Why would he call me Gwendolyn? He said, mom.
And you're that close. You're that
He's
close
like,
with
what's up,
yeah.
girl? What's up, Gwendolyn? No, he's like, mom. And he was very genuine about this. He said, the one kid that I was talking about, and he named him, he goes, I'm really seeing some growth. And I think with some grace, he could be a really good friend. And I was
Mhm.
like, oh, okay. But that's the thing. That was he said, the other kid, I'm not so sure about yet. He's like, I need to
Mhm.
give more time with that
Mhm.
because he understood that giving kindness to this one kid at this point was what he needed. That's where the discernment comes in. Now
Yeah.
they're really good friends. And I'm glad that my son used discernment and said I was appropriate the whole time. When
Mhm.
I didn't feel like I could be friends with him, that was appropriate for me to create distance. And as I saw his growth, it was appropriate for me to invite him into my world.
Yeah.
And so, and he has my full support. And if he
Mhm.
decides, this person isn't for me, he has my full support because I'm seeing him do things right. And
Mhm.
so he knows he can come to me and say, hey, this is how I'm feeling about the situation. And I told him, I
Yeah.
said, if you don't want to be friends with someone because of reasons that are legit, and if a teacher ever has a problem with it and is making you do work with them all the time, is really kind of pushing you guys together to always be kind, let me know. I'll advocate for you. And I will let them know. I don't teach my child that. I teach them to be appropriate. If this person is abusive, my child has every right to not associate with them.
Yeah, I also think, like, we need to come from the other way though, too, where and I think you've said this, but I'm just want to say it again, is that we cannot live in the assumption that people are kind. When we were growing up, it's like, oh, kidnappers, or, like the big white van, like
That's
there's a
like the only
load of,
thing you had to look for, like the big white
yeah,
van, and then you could be
exactly.
mean. Yeah.
Exactly. The big white van, the person is like, "Hey, you want some candy?" That's what we learned, right? Those are
Oh,
the
yeah.
moments
That
that
you
you
don't have
don't
to be
have to be.
nice.
Yeah, and I'm like,
Yes, you're so right.
those are the moments? Okay. So I was given 2 moments.
Right.
2
Uh-huh.
moments. But when a stranger comes in this form of, "Oh, it's just a bunch of puppies," right?
Mhm.
Like, how can this person not be kind?
Yeah.
Right? Like,
Yeah.
they love all these dogs, like,
Yeah. That's my friend's dad.
it
It's, mhm,
yeah.
mhm,
"Oh, I've
mhm.
met this person before." It's whoever.
Oh, yeah.
But I think those are the only 2 times, I don't know, that I remember really being taught that, yeah, my parents were pretty good about stuff like this, but
Yeah, but I've even seen you, Meredith, in a public situation where like, in a situation where you're being served somewhere and someone's being rude to you, you have been appropriate and said, "Hey, is there someone else who can help me? I just don't feel like we're jiving here."
mm,
Right?
mhm,
And so I'm
yeah.
like, "Okay," and as awkward as that can be, that is appropriate.
Yeah, I wanna have a nice time. And if you're having a bad day, you can have a bad day, but just don't do it with me. Just don't do it with me. I was with my mom, a few months ago, and we were sitting at a bar just wanting to have a cocktail with each other, like, catch up, and I could tell that this girl was in a rough situation. I didn't really know why. The way that she approached us, especially me, I asked a question about the menu, like, "How was this made?" I think that's a normal question to ask, and I said it in a way just like that, and she clapped back with, "What do you mean?" Like as if I was the stupidest person to ask. Now,
Mm,
anyone who knows me, if anyone is going to treat me like that and I'm going to feel that,
mhm,
I will create a boundary with that, because
mhm,
that's not appropriate.
mhm.
So I did say to her, I said, I don't really like the way that you're talking to me. So if there's somebody else that I could talk to, that would be good. And immediately, this girl changed her tune,
Mm,
not because she was ashamed. She didn't feel that way at all, I could tell. She was actually grateful, because this is what I learned from her later. I saw her, because I said it in a way of compassion, but I was being appropriate.
yeah.
I don't expect you to have a perfect day from me. You're human. Again, I want to have a good time. And after that, she was so kind to us, and not
Mm,
syrupy sweet, but very real, authentic, kind to us.
yeah.
She didn't go on and talk about what an awful night she was having. She just made a very professional statement of, yeah, it's been a rough night. There's a person who didn't come in tonight,
Yeah.
and so, and okay,
Yeah.
but she felt seen. And that's another thing in those situations, I think, that we also can empower others to just be themselves.
This is the thing. I think being appropriate gives other people opportunity that
Yeah.
genuinely want opportunity. So my
Mhm.
son saying, "Yeah, I'm not gonna really be close to this kid. This kid is kind of rude, he's kind of bratty, whatever this year." And then he sees, so he separates himself. This kid sees
Mhm.
that and
Yeah.
then kind of changes his tune. And now they're really good friends to where my son's like, "You know what? I'm really seeing this side of him. I really want to be gracious with him,"
Mhm.
because my son taught him from the very beginning how to treat him.
Mhm.
There
Mhm.
wasn't this, "Oh, I'm going to fool this kid and thinking I'm a good friend." This other kid knew, "I need to change if I'm going to be friends with this kid." And because my son was appropriate, he didn't allow this kid's behavior.
Mhm.
No, he realized I can't be an a-hole to all the kids.
Yeah. I can't
And
just be however I want to be, because you're telling me to be kind, and,
it gave
oh, they
him an
just, yeah.
opportunity to be like, "Okay, how
Mhm.
am I gonna make friends? Like, what kind of friends am I gonna have if this kid over here, who's, like, the nicest kid, isn't gonna have anything to do with me because I'm acting this way?" Yeah.
That's character. That's how you build character, right? That's how you build confidence.
Yeah, I mean,
Mhm.
there are evil people that you just have to be appropriate with and be like, "Be gone."
Mm.
But
We're
there
not
are
doing that.
people we're not
One of
doing
our
that. We're
favorite
not doing
sayings.
We're
We're
not
not
doing
doing
that.
that. We're not doing it. Mm-mm.
So I want my daughter to understand she doesn't have to walk down the street when a guy says, "Hey, pretty girl." She doesn't have to turn around and say thank you.
Mm.
She can just keep walking.
That kind
She
of
doesn't
makes my
have to
stomach
even,
sick even
yeah,
when
she
you
doesn't
say
even
that.
have
I
to
can't.
fake smile because you know what we were taught?
Oh,
Oh, someone's saying you're
yeah.
pretty, say thank you. I remember even to this day, I will catch myself. If a guy, I'm walking past somebody and a guy goes, "Hey, girl," I'll find myself quickly saying, "Hey," and I go, "Dang it." Like, I get so mad at myself because it's an impulse thing. Like, and I'm like, no, do not say anything to this person. There's
Oh,
no reason for this guy to be talking to you. It's
or
inappropriate. You have a
yeah.
wedding band on. It's not
Mhm.
okay. You don't even need to look at him. You can pretend you don't even hear him. That's appropriate.
Or how many of these ladies out there have experienced this, guys, where you are the one that's told to smile. Why don't you
Yes.
smile?
Oh, how many times have especially older men would go,
Oh,
"Smile."
I,
And
I
I would smile back in the day. I would smile, and I'm so mad at myself. I would go, "Oh," and I would smile. Now, you will
uh-uh.
get a death stare from me. You be like,
Oh, yeah.
"Oh my,
Hmm.
she's gonna
You
kill
better
me."
move
You
out of
better
the way.
move. Do not speak
Move.
another word to me.
Mm-mm.
Like,
Mm-mm.
I don't it's
You don't
not
know me.
appropriate. It's not
You do not know
appropriate, and
me.
there's no reason for me to have to walk around with a smile on my face to strange men. Why
And
would I do that?
do we do that to men?
Do you see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's
Do we
inappropriate, and
do?
we should be responding appropriately.
Yeah. Yeah. Ooh.
So, that's what I'm teaching my children, is you are to be appropriate, not kind.
Mm-hmm.
Forget this. I hope everybody who hears this, next time you see those stupid shirts that say "Be kind," you just wanna go up to them with a Sharpie and, like, mark it out and put appropriate on there. That's how I feel.
Yeah.
Actually, I'm gonna
Yeah.
make shirts. If y'all want a shirt, let me know because I'm gonna make them.
I'm gonna
And
make
then
them.
we can rule the world with this. We can all wear we
Who
could be
runs the
a
world?
we could have a day that's called Be Appropriate Day, and we can all wear our shirts and be like, "Be appropriate." We could say it just like that.
We'll create a song about anything. So yeah, we'll get on that. We'll get on that.
So
Yeah,
anyway,
it is true,
yeah.
but also people who do believe it, right? To be kind. I We're passionate about this, and at the same time, there it takes patience because people haven't heard this, and that's one of the things
Yeah.
of people have not heard this message. So we can also make cards too when people have
Mm,
those shirts, and we can make cards and say, "Hey, can here's the podcast for Meredith and
right.
Wenderlin, simply
Exactly.
1%. Listen to this episode, and here's a
Absolutely.
T-shirt, and here's a
So
T-shirt."
yeah, so just teach your children. So my 1% to you if you're an adult. Okay? So I'm going to speak specifically to women here. That, like I was saying, I would, as soon as I started learning to be appropriate, when I would walk by a man who said something to me, and I would just my response, because that's how I grew up. I have to say something or I have to respond kindly. And I would get mad at myself. Don't get mad at yourself. Just remember, oh, I need your pregame. Next time someone does that to me, I'm not responding. That's your
Mhm.
1%, is saying, okay, my knee jerk response is because I was programmed this way to be kind. Next
Mhm.
time, I'm not
Yeah.
doing it. That's my
Yeah.
1% shift, is I'm
And if
not
you
doing
still
it.
do it next time, that's okay because your shift is awareness. That's always, I think, the first part of anything that we want to change is awareness, really.
I'm aware of how I'm responding to this.
Mhm.
Next time, let me see if I can respond differently.
Mhm.
Listen, I'm not saying I'm walking down the street and people hooting and hollering at me. What I am saying is that like every 6 months, look, if I stop at the right gas station, I'm gonna get a hoot and holler. So that's what I'm talking about. Don't think that I'm walking out the street and men are just like, "Woo, girl," like they can't handle themselves. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying there's different parts of different neighborhoods that I know I can stop at a specific gas station and I'll get a good hoot and a holler. Okay? So let's be
Oh,
let's be clear.
I think that's a great place to end today. So, a hoot and a holler. Maybe that's what we should name this podcast. We appreciate you guys for being here with us, and hopefully you've gathered some little nuggets from today. Knowledge is always the first step, and then awareness, right? And we do hope that it leads to application. And that's a lot of what we teach here. And that's why it's simply 1%. There's no way that we can get there without the first step.
No.
So we're glad that you're here today. Wendelin, thank you so much for sharing your wisdom that you definitely apply all the time and that you teach. Our clients are definitely very grateful for it, and I hear it from them all the time.
Thank you, Merida.
Share this episode, please. Let's start the movement. Like it, share it, make a comment. Please give us something else to think about. And yeah, have a great day.